Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, whether you're Vainglorious or just getting there, this is a real fantasy for us all, is it not, dear Scoundrel?
Okay, I knew I was in for a treat when I had Humanist on my co-caster side, but what an intro, mate. What an intro. Yes, this is really something to look forward to. It is taking all of your favorite Vainglory pros and turning them into superstar teams. And I was kind of talking a little bit about Toph's team, and I was wondering, like, why is this guy like drafted 3 captains? Well, he's playing a 3-captain composition, so it makes sense now, Humanist.
Of course it makes that, like, the thing is, I wouldn't dare to question him, but, you know, you have that in-depth knowledge where I'll give you a bit of that leeway. Whatever the case, I think these guys are out for blood, but we're going to have a good time here.
So, I can see, it's nice to see that the meta hasn't changed much since I last played, which I was hoping it had done. A 3.8 was designed to change the meta so much so that you didn't have this 2 versus 1 bot lane, top lane dynamic where you had to pick a tank that clears waves in the top lane. You're expected to go 2v1, because that's not really fun for anybody. But right now, these teams kind of running with the old meta, as it were, even though a lot of the jungle experience and a lot of the jungle gold has been absorbed away from the jungle and shoved into the lane. So actually missing waves in lane now is more impactful, and a lot of more gold is centered in the lane, which is trying to force laners themselves to stay there. But right now, these teams still sticking to those old same rotations.
As it should be. Basically, the devs just saying, you know what, get good, you know? Be good at this game, and we will reward you. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm ready to see some action, though. We're 2 minutes into a fantasy all-star match with no first blood? What is this?
They're taking it easy, dude. You know, this is the first game of the Fantasy All-Stars. Just making sure that they're chilled out, they're ready to go. I am favoring Starboi's team, though, simply because they can fit more tension bows on their side, Humanist. Their team can fit more tension bows in feasibly into their builds, and therefore I think they're more likely to come out victorious, just for that simple reason.
That's a pretty biased tension bow builder assessment there, but I'll go with it for now, as it appears we may have some action starting. Tapped with a little bit of a Stormforged Spear love on the end, as it is Team LostBoyToph rotating through the jungle, clearing this out pretty nice and effectively. Not much of a contest there.
No, and I think you have to sort of realize that with Toph's side of the board, they really only have limited damage dealers at this stage in the game. You know, when you've got a Churnwalker and an Arden, they are there primarily to be those beefy front lines. And although Arden is going down the weapon power build path, he's not exactly
Yes, can we say yes about that?
Well, it actually isn't so bad now. I mean, Bonesaw is a really good item. Tension Bow is strictly broken on 3.8. So all of these items, you know, Arden has used in the past. I mean, with Tension Bow, you just need Tension Bow Sorrow Blade, and you hit like a truck. Like you hit your blood for blood with a Tension Bow Sorrow Blade. You're gonna smack someone really bloody hard.
Blood for bloody hard.
Blood for bloody hard. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I mean, there is feasibility for Maurice playing that style of build. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do end up going, because I do think that. You can see Lance going for the Storm Crown, Max Green going for that, well, at least the Storm Guide banner, purely to clear those waves. It has been kind of cut down as one of those consistent true damage dealing items to more of a burst true damage dealing item, but it can still help you clear the waves a bit better.
Yeah. Well, clearing waves is one thing, but we need to see some fighting here eventually. I mean, we're 4 minutes in, no real hero-on-hero action. Do you have kind of a prediction when we might see some breakout?
I think a lot of these teams really want to utilize certain item spikes. You look at, for instance, we'll take a look at Toph's teams to start with.
I'm looking.
So we get Delphi on his first item, Truth on his first item, and Toph on his first item. And I think you're in a position where you're likely able to take skirmishes a bit more readily, especially just getting that alternating current online for LostBoyToph is really important. Delphi probably going to pick up the Sorrow Blade to begin with, and I don't know what Truth's going yet. He looks like he's going weapon power Adagio. So maybe I was wrong about the tension bows, actually, just on hindsight. It looks like there is equal amount of tension bows that can be fit into these teams. But these first item spikes
just
are important.
Just honor among Vainglorious players, you know. These are some real classy guys. Not a lot of trash talk happening in the lobby, was there?
Dude, were they civil in the lobby? All I saw in the lobby was Delphi spamming boom.
I think Delphi lost the argument and just started spamming boom. But that's one way to win it, you know?
It's not a way to win it. He spammed boom like 80 times and then did it like copy and pasted the message like 4 or 5 times. So all I saw in the lobby was Delphi and boom.
Twitch even got a taste of that when the original lobby crashed. But that's just the life, you know, of being in a professional Vainglory lobby. Right there, Delphi having a bit of a contest. We'll be able to secure that one. Happy to do so. Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest things is we look at this, the Glaive Varia as well on a team. Positioning super important with both of these heroes.
Yeah, I mean, Glaive, I think primarily is going to be used to either isolating or peeling, and you really, I think you're playing around the Varia and the Weapon Power Arden here. The Churnwalker, although sorry, not the Weapon Power Adagio, even though Arden is going Weapon Power, a lot of this is going to be peeling back and isolating carries, and maybe going for a pick-style composition on the side of LostBoyToph. If they can get a hook into an afterburn, you've got incredible single target pick here. The burst from Maurice coming out from the Arden is going to be pretty huge. That's where their composition is going to come into its own. I feel like when you come to a strict team fight scenario, the combo between Varia and Churnwalker is really nice, but I just think the consistent damage output, especially upfront damage output, because weapon power is broken on this update, coming from Starboi's team, is going to be really difficult to deal with, especially as your Arden isn't building that much armor at this point in time, especially. So that's going to be a struggle, I think.
I won't tell Starboi that you briefly forgot his name there for a second, but it's definitely
I was following Starting All Over, and I wanted to call it Starting's team, and I was like, it's not Starting's team.
Ghost Swing taken down as Anvil's hammer does fly. Starboi, he's in the thick of things since taking down our first blood 7 minutes in. Maybe looking for 2 iJets, able to dip himself back. And this is a big take here by LostBoyToph.
No, I think, again, they knew that their item spikes were so important. The first item spike is there for Glaive, Adagio, and LostBoy has picked up his alternating current, so they went straight for Ghost Swing, knowing that he was either going to force a reaction or they could force a fight, using that Churnwalker and using that Glaive. Really good understanding of that mini item spike that they gained, especially in these earlier skirmishes, where I think the favor is coming out for LostBoyToph's team.
Yeah, really playing around some big power spikes and timings here. Team LostBoyToph putting the hurt over onto Team Starboi. Let's see if they can turn this one around. Now we are having a turret taken down in bottom lane, as well as Team LostBoyToph just gain a little bit more control over this map.
Absolutely, they've opened things up on the bottom side of the map now. Max has already been put down onto the rafters, and that's now going to allow rotations to take place. Looking like Truth and Deceive can head straight towards that mid lane, even though it had that damage reduction to it. It's still a very juicy target for Truth here.
Oh, easy peasy. Starting can't even defend it.
I think this is the practice that we got put in here by LostBoyToph has been very, very good. As you can see in the top lane, Maurice, so much damage.
Turns it up on starting in the mid lane up to top. Outplayed, almost dropped down. Will go down to Delphi. iJets over the wall. Looks like LostBoy's there, ready to dance all around. And Deceived able to kill steal that one away. Fantasy for kill stealers across the world.
Ooh, and a 3k gold advantage opens up. It's going to be even more now that Maurice and Delphi have found their way onto this turret. And suddenly, that trash talk coming out from Starboi on the desk. So beforehand, Toph is the one that is in the lead. And remember, this is a best of 1. There is no comebacks once you've lost to a team. That's it. You get that one chance to shine.
It's like 8 Mile.
Yeah, I was about to start sort of repeating the lyrics word for word there, but I decided to...
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not going to.
Maurice? Maurice! I'm sure he's regretting that one. 5-1 in favor of Team LostBoyToph.
And Delphi now will have that afterburn. He has gone the Spell Sword build, which is a bit more utility focused than strictly going for the Sorrow Blade for that burst. There's the ultimate from the Varia, though. It's going to isolate everybody, show them where they are on the map because of those animations that you can see through the Fog of War. And now Truth and Deceived have stepped up.
Truth wants to get in range. He's actually going to get pulled in by Starboi, who's going to go ahead and get the advantage here early on. Both teams trading out damage. iJets able to get back. Deceived absorbing the most damage for Team LostBoyToph. Keeps himself alive, and nobody goes down at the end of that one.
No, but Ghost Swing is spawning very, very soon here for Starboi's team. They could basically ramp this one into a Ghost Swing take, which would be very good for them. That will allow them to start pushing their own objectives, but I think they feel too low on the map right now, especially some of their primary damage dealers like this Gwen and the Reza just having to back off a little bit because they feel like they're not in the best of situations to fight.
Finn trying to take on the 4 versus 1. He's going to rethink that one with a 20-second respawn.
Starboi, he's having a tough time here. He is really having a tough time on this Finn. He's getting isolated quite a lot, getting engaged on very heavily. I'm pretty sure that the interesting build for me is that iJets chose to prioritize the tension bow over the aftershock first. I haven't run the numbers, and obviously I haven't played too much on this new update yet because I've been kind of busy in my real life, but I don't know if you get more out of running Tension Bow first on the resident.
Starting?
He's just dead. I think he's pretty dead.
Oh, okay. Back to the analysis.
I don't know whether you get more out of running Tension Bow over Aftershock first. I still think Aftershock is a bigger item spike first for Reza over Tension Bow, but I haven't run the numbers, so I can't be 100% sure on that.
Oh, let's see. Maurice trying to have some sort of argument, whether it's Tension Bow Aftershock or not. We'll find out soon here. Maurice is in! He's got another one for Team LostBoyToph, stands his ground. Arden, what a hero. Are you kidding me? Is he about to take Outplay down? Oh, one more would have gotten an Outplay. We'll be able to live through it. Maybe he pulls up for a TP and dies. The Anvil's Hammer won't be doing so. He'll dip back. Delphi hunting like a little tiger shark in the woods here. Not going to find anything else. They'll drop back for the weapon train.
That's not looking so good right now. 4 starting and why do I keep wanting to say starting's team? Starboi's team here. They are really struggling to get into the game right now. They've got some decent scaling on their side, but they need to activate their second item spikes, especially for the Gwen and Ringo. They need a bit of attack speed on their side, and the Aftershock does need to get finished for iJets before we really start to see the action break out for them.
Truth pulled, but able to boot himself away from danger. So a swing and a hit, but it feels like a swing and a miss. Max Grain rolling forward. What a combat roll. It's the battle over the Crystal Treant, and that will be being picked up by Outplayed. Team Starboi looking for more as the Hellfire Brew flies on forward. LostBoy taking a lot of damage, but the fight spreads apart. Deceived, frontlining for his team, but he's just trying to tuck tail and run. Max Green, 2-man impale. Delphi tries to get an appeal for his team. He moves forward. They find iJets isolated to the top side of the fight. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Now, Truth definitely going down. He doesn't have the mobility, already burned his boots, and the rest of Team LostBoyToph was already out of there.
Yeah, Toph's team actually engaging into a 4 versus 5 willingly there. They actually taunted Starboi's team into coming towards them at that Ghost Wing River Pit, and they knew they were a 4 versus 5. They knew Maurice didn't have teleport boots to join the team, and Maurice was up in the top lane trying to slow shove that wave back towards Starboi's side of the map on the top side. So I'm not totally sure the thought process there for Toph's guys. I think you need to wait for Maurice to head down in that situation and take a true 5v5, because at this point in time, you are stronger. But regardless, it happened, and it actually wasn't the worst scenario in the world. They didn't actually lose anything on the map for it. They lost some lives, maybe learnt a lesson, and they'll have to reset going for this next Ghost Wing, which will be up moderately shortly.
You know, sometimes teams have that mentality too. They're like, I think we can do this, and you're far enough ahead where you can lose a fight and you're not like throwing the game, right? So it's a bit of research as well as actually just seeing if you can do it. But right now, Ghostwing being taken up. Max is here, starting all over as well. Starting, pops the weapon infusion, goes down onto Truth. Truth protected by his team as starting has to dip back. Delphi peels for his team. Delphi taking a lot of damage. Hellfire Brew's going to go on to Delphi. He's the first to drop here. Now Maurice the Beast drops the gauntlet, looks to get on to starting. One more punch, he's got it, he kicks him. Excalibur really kicks him, didn't even punch him. Now Outplayed, you gotta get back. He's too squishy, Ace is high. I don't know who blocked or connected, but he's down anyway. Starboi falls under his own turret in a super feels bad man for Team Starboi.
They really can't fight at this point in time. There's massive item spikes opened up for Toph's team. He's got the Dragon's Eye second now, which is a lot easier to stack than in previous laws on other updates, which means that you're going to be ramping up very quickly with Dragon's Eye compared to previous. Tension Bow there for Delphi, Tension Bow there for Truth of Light, and the Spell Sword coming into a full crit build coming out for Maurice as well. That's a lot of damage and a lot of item spikes to contend with, and although the Tension Bow is there for Gwen and Ringo, the Sorrowblade Tension Bow spike, which is so big right now, they haven't got that follow-up attack speed boost for either of them at this point in time, so their damage output is moderately limited. And also, you can see Jets struggling without that Aftershock. Again, the choice to go for Tension Bow first, I'm unsure was the best choice. I still think Aftershock, despite the nerfs, is still really good. And I feel like you lose a lot of strict burst damage in the early game by going for that Tension Bow first. So they just can't contend in these fights. Not only that, the Varia actually really counters this composition as we got an engage.
Delphi super engage here. That's going to be picked up by the Churnwalker though. Fountain blown for Team LostBoyToph. A nice 3-man stun coming out of Starboi, trying to delay for his team. Delphi in deep again, but no follow-up. Starting stands his ground, able to take Delphi down. They're all low, maybe gonna dip back to the healing platform as they're gonna have their first base turret drop on down. Blacklaw still pretty healthy, and Team LostBoyToph hesitant to dip into this armory. They'll go ahead and let this one go as Team Starboi showing some signs of life here.
That was a 4 versus 5, by the way. A 4 versus 5. that they ended up coming out on top of. That is how far ahead they are. And you need to look at a few things about these compositions that you're seeing kind of illustrate why it is difficult for Starboi's team to actually find a win in a teamfight scenario. Remember, we always talk about Finn and being pretty bad against something like a CP Vox because you group up around the Finn to make use of his polite company. Well, a similar thing works for Varia because of the way her basic attacks chain. You're always going to have something to chain to in a team fight, maximizing the damage output of a Varia because you want to stay around your Finn. You want to get used to that polite company. On top of that, who actually threatens Varia or Adagio? How do you get through the front line of even just Churnwalker as well as the Glaive? You have a very underfed, under-itemed and under-leveled Reza who's really not going to do diddly squat to your backline. And other than that, you have to rely on Finn hitting a hook. So Starboy's got to hit a hook, and if that doesn't get blocked, there's really no other way to threaten the backline of this LostBoyToph team. They've got such a beefy front line that, to be honest, Toph and Truth are untouchable.
You just have to wait for Truth to get overconfident and walk forward, then kill him. Or either that, and you're also maybe using iJets just as bait, right? If he's not really capable of getting anything done, you just have to like hang him out there, use him as bait, get a return kill, go from there.
I think that's asking a bit much. That's relying on someone else's mistakes rather than your own proactivity, which is never a good way to try and win a team fight or even win a game. You're relying on mistakes.
These guys are getting kind of wrecked right now, though.
I mean, they are. I mean, the best thing they could do is set up like a Fnatic death brush, is what we call it. From other games, you basically sit in a brush, hope it's not warded, and just sit there and try and wait for them to face check you.
I don't know. We could debate which one is more desperate. We have another turret drop down in the bottom lane as Team LostBoy flexing over here onto Team Starboi, proving to be the stronger team in the first 17 minutes of this game. We're 13-6. It looks like the base may be broken open pretty soon. This Team LostBoy go ahead and drop back. And I gotta say, this Team LostBoyToph, they have some pretty sweaty rotations. This is not really casual play as they move around the map here.
Oh, they are taking this seriously, mate. I mean, there is a decent amount of money on the line. So you want to be taking these games seriously. Have a bit of fun, of course, but also make sure that you are the team that comes out on top in the end. I want to just highlight the builds now. Breaking Point there for Truth of Light. And now Breaking Point has become harder to stack, but with Tension Bow, that becomes much, much easier. You get to similar levels than before. Tension Bow really hits more the later the game goes as well, because you get that flat 35% pierce plus damage dealt as a percentage of your total weapon power, your bonus weapon power. It's 125% of your bonus weapon power, I believe. So the more weapon power you get from Breaking Point, the harder your Tension Bow is going to hit. Tension Bow is a late game scaling item now. Can you believe it? And they are coming out across the board as well.
It's the true fantasy. Like this is like peak fantasy happening right here, right now.
Is your fantasy to have a late game scaling Tension Bow?
Oh yeah, wall casting with Excoundrel, wall casting a fantasy all-star match with Munch and Tasty Bacon on the desk.
That sounds like my fantasy as well. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, basically on the same page, but is Team Starboi on the same page? Starting, pulled back a little bit there as Black Claw is going to be unleashed. What a gauntlet, dropped on down. Outplayed has to run. Delphi tried to get on target, but he switches to Starting. Starting drops down. He just gets popped over here as Team LostBoyToph look for blood. Outplayed, he's dropped down by Maurice the Beast and Delphi. Starboi last to drop. iJets, well, he'll be the last man standing, but really wasn't a factor, as you pointed out before. And with that, Team LostBoyToph in our first Fantasy All-Star match of the day will be looking to close this one out just around 19 minutes and 20 seconds.